So today we're going to start talking about the mindset piece of things. When we're dealing with mindset, we're basically thinking about what we think about. Is that deep? Are we thinking about what we think about? And this is not just in regards to business. This can impact your life in such a big way. How many of us have signed up for Bold? I know Victor, Courtney Weber is. Lauren, you're going to be signed up here. Anybody else signed up for Bold? Amanda, great. So the acronym BOLD stands for Business Objective Life by Design. And they are going to talk a lot about mindset and getting right in our heads. We have to be right in our heads if we're going to be successful in our business and in our personal lives, family lives, etc. So today we're going to talk about that. Those of you who are going to Bold, we will learn a lot more about this, but there's little things like forcing yourself to smile impacts your mindset. Have you ever tried that? Where you're just having a ho-hum day and you just try to smile? Your mind, there's neural pathways, and this is what Bold's going to talk about. So I'm stealing shamelessly from what you may learn. In your brain, there are neural pathways. What that means is that there are ruts that over time we have created in our brains. You can repair and fix these ruts through several different strategies. Number one, positive affirmations. It sounds hokey, right? Like go stand in front of a mirror and say, you are going to kill it today. Say it 5 times. After the 5th time, and you get over like how corny you sound and look, you start to believe it. Or when you sit down, Victor, you sit down and start making your cold calls. You say, they're home, they're going to pick up, and they want to talk to me. You start to say it, and you will start to believe it. You can train your brain. That's kind of what like forcing yourself to smile does. It takes over the negative thoughts in your brain and you focus on being happy. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we all want. Does anybody here like being unhappy? I know I sure don't. No. So we're going to talk about mindset. One of the things I wanted to start with, though, I'm going to start each coaching call going forward with real life situation, something that's happened in either my business or in somebody else's business that I know of. And the reason I'm going to start off with this is because it lends itself to mindset, but it also would be good for you to hear tangible things that will happen in your business. So last week, at the start of the week, we went into contract on my highest price point listing I've ever had. At the time, I've trained myself pretty well to be a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to homes that are in contract, because I never want to count my eggs before they hatch. I never want to start counting that money before the ink dries. So I was a little skeptical that this thing might just fall out of contract. Inspections happen, and ultimately Friday comes and I'm having a wonderful day. I was out golfing with some ex-clients and we were just talking a little bit about business, but having a great time. And I was riding high. And then I checked my email and the agent said, this is the worst part of the transaction. I'm sorry to say we're going to terminate the contract. We're going to use the inspection as the reason for walking away. And then she noted 3 things that she didn't like, that the buyers didn't like about the home. This is real life. This really happened. This is going to happen to you guys. I'm just planting the seed. So the 3 things she noted were the foundation was a concern, the moisture smell in the basement was a concern, and then something else. So when you cancel a contract, you're supposed, and you cite the inspection as the reason, you're supposed to send the inspection report with it. So she sends the inspection report. And I look at the inspection report and it clearly states the foundation's in great shape. There's no moisture intrusion. So basically she was ripping stuff out of her butt to get out of this contract, which, number one, I understood the whole time that there may be a chance that they might bail, but just shoot me straight. Like, say they got cold feet, because that's clearly what it was. It wasn't the inspection report. So I went from riding high mentally, having a great day, to immediately like, geez, now I've got to call my client and give them the bad news. I don't know about you guys, but would anyone look forward to that conversation? Yeah, Courtney says it's even hard to call the agent from the buyer's perspective. Have you dealt with this before? Have you had a? So Courtney's had 3 clients fall out, and so she knows it's not fun. End of the day, though, this is what we get paid for, right? And so how do we approach that conversation? I want to get your perspective. I'd like to hear from 1 or 2 people here. So let's just say something bad like this happens to your clients and you have to be the bearer of bad news. Any recommendations on how you might approach that situation? Just 1 or 2 people, if you don't mind. You've got experience. You know what I'm talking?
I mean,
Let's be honest and upfront.
yeah, I would just be honest. It happens. So just, it's better than lying, and you're not gonna sound sincere when you're lying. They're gonna know that you're lying anyway. These are business professionals. I would just be like, they got cold feet, or if it really was for inspection, cite the reasons. And especially in this market, I feel like it's kind of common because people are grasping at any opportunity they can. Like a few months ago when the market was really wild, that's when I had people that backed out because they were like, essentially they wanted to put an offer on any house that wasn't falling down. And hopefully this will calm down a little bit as far as people backing out once the market calms down. But
I think it's probably important to be positive too, like when speaking with the buyer or seller, just speak positively about the situation rather than speaking negative and saying negative things about either person or either party.
I love that too. So number 1 thing we heard was just to be open and honest, be transparent. There's no reason to hide a lot of stuff here. But to your point, Courtney, like being positive makes you sound professional and eases the mind of the person you're working with. So here's how my call went. I said, hey, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I'm a little upset right now because I feel like the other agent wasn't being completely truthful, but we just fell out of contract. We're going to do our best. We're going to market the crap out of this. We're going to get you back in contract as soon as possible. I promise. But I did want to let you know that we're back on the market now. And here's why. And then just try and puff them up a little bit and say, hey, we've got a great house, because a lot of our job is to play guidance counselor, psychologist, motivational speaker, cheerleader, especially when, Courtney, your point, like the rug might have just gotten pulled out from under this person. It's important to reinforce them positively for sure. Great call out.
in that situation, if you had the seller, would you ask the buyers for their inspection report and use that moving forward? So you could just be like totally transparent with other potential buyers coming in.
Yeah, if you guys couldn't hear that, she said when this happens, do you ask for the inspection report to share with other future buyers? And you want to be strategic there. If it's really bad, if the inspection is really bad, I wouldn't encourage you to share it. Honestly, I would encourage some other new inspector to walk through, and maybe it dampens the blow a little bit. And yet, if you've got an inspection report that's not that bad, why not share it and happily share it? because you're going to save people steps and you're going to save yourself from going into contract again and potentially falling out. But yeah, if you've got access to it and somebody asks for it, I always give it, even if it's not the best. I'm just not going to advertise that I have it if it's really crappy. But each situation, guys, at the end of the day, my situation is not unique to me. Everybody will go through this. You're going to have contracts broken. It's easy to get butthurt over it. It's easy to think about what could I have done differently. And I want you to think that, because in certain situations, we could have done something different to prevent this. And yet a lot of times there's just not much you could have done. You don't control both sides. You just control your one party. And if you're not the reason for it breaking, then you shouldn't be blaming yourself. So that's my story of what happened to me. End of the day, my seller took it way better than I thought he would. He was actually trying to lift me up. He's like, that's okay, Josh, we'll go get him again. No problem. Which was really reassuring, because honestly, at the end of the day, I kind of thought that this was a kind of person who might move on from me, in my opinion. But he was begging me by the end. He's like, please don't leave me, Josh. Like, we've got a good thing going here. And what that tells me is we've established a good relationship and a good rapport in the very short time that I've known him. And that was definitely wind in my sails. So one thing I would encourage you to do before you make that phone call, regardless of which side you're on, or before you receive a phone call, you see that that's the other realtor calling, and you know, oh gosh, this can't be good. Take a deep breath. Realize that you're just doing your job and you're going to do the best you can. And then perform the action. Pick up the phone. Don't get mad at the other agent, because you'll do future deals together and you don't want to burn that bridge. Right? It all comes back to mindset. And so if we have a positive mindset entering into that phone conversation, odds are it will show up in the words that we say.
Yes.
Any questions about that situation or scenario?
So now another way I would look at it too, you know what I'm saying? As long as you work with somebody, that means you close to a check. As long as you work with somebody, you close to a check.
Yep.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So I know you said obviously don't burn bridges and be respectful, but do you mention to them, well, you know, in my inspection report, none of those were issues, or do you just kind of leave it?
It won't help at this point, because they've already submitted the termination form. And so what am I really going to do? All I'm going to do is basically call them a liar, and that's not going to help matters. I say let the sleeping dog lie and move on. It's going to help you too. It's not going to give you closure, like saying, well, by the way, I think you're a terrible big fat liar because this and this and this, right? At the end of the day, deep down inside, I know why they left. They left because they must have had cold feet. And okay, onward. And that's become my new favorite word, is onward with a big exclamation point. Here's a coaching tip. If you're not using exclamation points in your text communications or your email communications or your social media, make sure you're using exclamation points. It makes you sound more exciting and excited. So little piece there.
I recently read an article that's a generational thing.
It's a generational thing.
So like people over like 55 think it sounds like bluesy, like unintelligent, but like younger generations use stuff like punctuation too. Like older generations text like they would write an essay, and the younger generation uses things like exclamation points and emojis and stuff to actually get tone across.
Thanks, Derek, for that comment. Okay, get out a piece of paper and a pencil, or get your phone out and go to the Notes app. Everyone do this, please. We're going to take a minute and we're going to do an activity. Everyone get a piece of paper out and a pencil or pen or your digital device. Over the next couple minutes, I'm going to give you a little bit of time here. I want you to think of 4 or 5 things that have happened in the last, we'll say 90 days that you're super excited about or that you're really happy. Think of 4 or 5 things over the last 90 days that you're really happy or excited about that's happened to you. Maybe it's an accomplishment. It can be family, it can be work. It can be physical, I don't know. It can be anything. 4 or 5 things that you're really excited about. I'm going to give you some time to think and we will talk in a minute. Write them down and write down why you're excited that that thing happened. Give us all one more minute. All right. What we're going to do now is we're each going to just share one thing. We're going to go down the line, just take 20 seconds and explain what one thing you're excited about and quickly why. Courtney, we'll start with you.
I hit 15 transactions for this year last week, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think that's my biggest one.
Nice. Congratulations. That's big. I'm just going to go by order of my screen. Lauren.
I was most excited that I passed my real estate exam, mostly because I unfortunately didn't pass the first time. So I think I was extra nervous for the second time around, but I was just really excited that I overcame that and passed it.
Congratulations on the perseverance. Courtney.
I'm glad that I got to quit my full-time job and focus on getting licensed. Yeah.
Yeah, big win. Maureen.
Hi. I was really excited that I figured out how to get my e-key because it was truly an experience that was needed perseverance and tenacity and the ability to not get completely frustrated. So
Good job. We're glad you got there.
me too.
Matthew.
I'm most excited for I was excited about when I got my business cards for the first time because it's like making this experience all like surreal.
Nice. You're official now. You got your face on a little cardboard. Good for you. Jason.
I was happy that nobody got on the call earlier today, so that way I can have some one-on-one time with Josh, and I can get my Maury spiel of everything I'm going through and dealing with right now.
That was a win for me too, man. I'm glad we got to talk. Amanda.
Okay. Well, about a month ago, I started this job, which is great because I was getting really stressed there. I'm learning a lot, so I feel like I really have this like mentor kind of ship with Joe. I'm learning a lot about real estate and investment properties, which is kind of why I got into this in the first place. And it's not retail. I'll take it. I'm very happy it's not retail.
Hallelujah. Nick.
I like Lauren. My top thing for the past 90 days is I was super elated to pass my real estate exam. I'm ready to move on to this phase of my life. So
Awesome. Speaking of investment properties, this guy is going to be talking to us about how to do it because he owns some. So this guy
I just
owns
closed on one last week.
Yeah. This is awesome. Erica.
Okay. I'm excited because I'm a heck of a lot more comfortable doing showings and using showing time. I'm a newer agent, so there's always that little hump to get over. So I'm really happy that I could get it. And this morning I did 3 showings in about an hour and a half, and I was able to get them timed a certain way and getting all that stuff done last night, and trying to talk to the listing agents and all that, and making sure that I had enough time from one place to the next, and making sure to relay all that information to the buyer client. So that was definitely felt pretty doggone proud of myself that I could actually finally do that. I know they're little victories, but they become big victories later on. So I'm very happy.
You're doing activities that get you paid. You should be excited about that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Good for you. Hey, one quick coaching tip. Something that drives me a little batty when I am the listing agent and people who haven't seen the home yet call me and ask me a million questions about it as if they're going to offer, but they haven't seen the home yet. And then they see the home and don't offer. So all that time was a waste. Going forward, I typically tell them to tell people, call the listing agent after you've seen it and have interest. Otherwise, you may be wasting their time. Sorry. Thank you. Will, what's a win for you?
Just like everybody else, I think getting my real estate license over the past 90 days, and then also the business cards really put things in perspective that it's real. So trying to learn more. It's been a slow start, but just trying to absorb everything and kind of, keep learning the game here.
It's funny, we get excited when we get the business cards, but our objective is to get rid of the business cards now. So it's kind of twofold. Fun. Brendan.
Something in the last 90 days I'm really excited about is I'm currently in contract on my listing that's up in Northwest Ohio. Getting access to the Northwest Ohio MLS and all that was quite a big project over the last maybe 6 months or so. But it was a great opportunity for me. And from the time that I signed the agreement, but to the time that we went into contract, I didn't even step foot inside the house once. So, a lot of, virtual meetings and walkthroughs and all that. And I guess I would say, don't be afraid to take opportunities that are, not right here in the Columbus area. And that transaction is also going to get me capped. So I'm excited about that.
Heck yeah. Hey, thanks for calling in from that bathroom stall that you're sitting in. I appreciate it. Quite an echo you've got. Those are a lot of good wins, man. I counted like 5 or 6 in that whole thing. So thank you. Derek.
I would say in the past 90 days, actually generating a lead on my own. That's I'm actually getting pretty close here to listing, so I'm excited about that, and just need to put the time and effort in to hopefully generate some more and build off of that.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing, guys. Hopefully that wasn't too uncomfortable. The purpose of this was to count our good fortune. If you're like me at all, I sit in the negative of what has happened, right? Like, oh, this thing fell out of contract. Well, that's on me. And maybe I'm not the realtor I thought I was. Maybe it's negative self-talk. But when you actually put the pencil on paper, what was it a little challenging to get started with this for some of you? But once you started writing, I would assume that it piggybacked like, oh, well, I sold 15 units, which means I made X number of dollars, which means I'm that much closer to my goal. Like there's so many victories that start to, once you just expose one, you start to realize just how fortunate you really are. And at the end of the day, as long as we're breathing, guys, we're pretty fortunate. So hopefully that practice was good for us. Gary Keller says we should live our lives in the following order: faith first, family second, work third. The thing I tell people that we recruit, or anybody that'll listen, is that if I get those first two right, faith and family, then my mental acuity, like I'm ready to approach the day at work. If those things aren't right, then my work day is going to struggle, right? I'm not going to be happy on phone calls. I'm not going to be completely 100% immersed in the conversation with a potential listing. I could miss potential business, or I could just be a really crappy realtor that day if my family and my faith aren't right. We're all going to have days where we don't feel like it's all working. But if we're going to operate in that mode where our mental fortitude is controlled by, in that order, faith, family, and work, then we should probably try to prioritize our lives in that order. And so the question then becomes, well, how? If I'm right here at point A, how do I get to point B? If currently faith isn't a big part of my life, or my family, we're experiencing opportunities. And by the end of this conversation, we'll have the answer to that. It really comes down to your schedule. I'm going to go to church for a second, okay? If you're not a person of faith, that's okay. Don't tune me out. I promise you, I won't be offensive. I won't go too far on this, okay? Hang with me. This is a verse from the Bible. It's from Philippians 4, verses 6 through 8. Just listen to the words. Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank Him for all He has done. Then you will experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. And now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. The common theme there throughout this was thinking in your mind. And so when I'm talking about your mental strength and your ability to be of sound mind right now, these verses speak volumes to me. If when I'm feeling negative, if I would just flip that switch and start thinking about all my blessings like we just practiced, then my day is going to turn from potentially bad to, man, this is just a little blip. Like I'm really fortunate. So for me, I just want to give you guys a best practice, how I infuse faith into my day and into my schedule, more importantly, so that You guys may steal shamelessly if you'd like. If Gary Keller says faith, family, then work, then I think he's pretty smart. He's kind of a billionaire and runs a huge organization. I think we should listen to him. I wake up at 5:30 almost every morning, Monday through Friday. If you do not have a routine set schedule for when you're waking up, I want you to revisit that thought. Reason being, if you go to any successful like CEO and ask them about their morning routine, I will guarantee they have one, and it doesn't start at 7 or 8 a.m. It starts with them waking up early and stealing some of the day. Because if you think about it, at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., the world started turning, problems have started happening. For me, 5:30 is when I can wake up and not have any distractions. I have 3 kids, one of which is a little baby, but even he doesn't wake up at 5:30. So I at least get a half hour just to myself. In that half hour, I'm focusing solely on my relationship with my faith. That doesn't have to be you, okay? If you're not a person of faith, I'd encourage you to explore that. But if you're not a person of faith, just get up and read a book or go work out. Do something that is for you and your health, your mental health. Because that 5:30 time frame for me, it looks like this. I wake up, I say a prayer. I'm just thankful to be alive. I get into the Bible app. If y'all are looking for a good app that might encourage you, the Bible always has good words for any situation. That app is free. It can be downloaded anytime. They have lesson plans on there. So I go through a 5-minute lesson plan each morning. It starts my day off thinking of things other than myself, which is great. After that, I write down, I literally have a journal. My journal looks like this. My goal is to fill up 1 page each day between 5:30 and 6. And I typically do. I'm not very good at journaling, but I do it anyways. I practice. I start off with 3 gratitudes. Today, the gratitudes were, I took a day off for the most part yesterday. We finished our outdoor living space at my house, and I was thankful for the weather that we've had lately. Little things. But when you start thinking about what you're grateful for, your day starts on a high note, right? That practice that we just did where you wrote down 4 or 5 things, do you feel a little bit more positive after you wrote those things down? I would imagine that's a yes. So after I get done doing gratitudes, I journal a little bit, just say what's on my mind, get some things out. And then after that, I have a little quiet time where I just sit in the silence. And to be honest, it's pretty nice, especially when you're a parent of 3 kids, or if you've got fur babies or whatever, like enjoy the silence while you have it and just use that as kind of like a meditation time. But that time starts your day off from a mental standpoint correctly. From there, I typically do something physically, like I do push-ups or go for a run, something along those lines, do something active so that I start the day off mentally really in a good spot. So if that takes care of my faith portion, and then I revisit it through the course of the day, I try to pray a couple times a day. If I'm talking about prayer here, this is kind of awkward, I apologize, but if y'all don't know how to pray, it's just a conversation. You can pray for things you want, things you need, health, business to come your way. God will hear you. We're going to move on to family now. So we talked about faith. Family is the second priority. In order to be right with your family, you should probably be spending time with them. And maybe you're a single dude or single lady and you don't have much family. Maybe you've relocated, you don't have family near. Maybe you do though, and maybe we can do a better job of spending time with that family. For me, it means like turning my phone off or putting my phone in a different room. It also means scheduling time for them. So this gets back to what the end result is. In order to, if we're going to live our lives, faith, then family, then work, We need to be scheduling things in that order. So my question for you would be then, and I've talked about this a lot recently, what do you use to keep track of your schedule? It's a rhetorical question. If you use Google Calendar, or if you use a paper planner, I would encourage us on Sunday, maybe Sunday evening, to just take 5 to 10 minutes and map out your week. But start the first thing by mapping out, when am I going to focus on my faith? Maybe that's going to church on Sunday, or a group Bible study, or maybe just getting some quiet time each morning. Put that on your calendar first. Color code it. If you're in Google Calendar or Apple Calendar or whatever, you can color code these things so that you know, oh, this is red, meaning I can't schedule over this. Nothing's going to come over this, because this controls my mindset for the rest of the day. And then from there, you're going to focus on your family opportunities that you have coming up. Maybe it's a kid's game, or a pet's veterinarian appointment. Put those things on the calendar. Put some fun friend events. Maybe you're going to a concert or a comedy show, or just hanging out with some friends doing a dinner. Put those things on the calendar next. Those two portions, family and faith, those are going to be the really positive and uplifting things. And as you're doing your schedule, you're really happy as you're doing those things, because you have something to look forward to. And then thirdly, that's when you're going to put your work items on the calendar. The things that you need to be doing. For us here, our first year, or even if it's your 10th year in the industry, I would hope that you'd be starting your work stuff with lead generation time. My encouragement is always for us to do lead generation between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. if you can. If you can't, what other time blocks can you create? But you've got to put it on the calendar. A bold law. You guys are going to hear bold laws coming because I'll be attending bold as well. If it's not in your schedule, then it doesn't exist. So lead generation time has to be on there. And it should come before appointments and showings and all that other stuff, because at the end of the day, those showings are still going to be there after you generate new business. Cool. So we're talking about schedule. We're on to work now. Mindset with work. I want to go back to positive affirmations. They really do work, I promise you. And it does sound hokey at first, but if you tell yourself consistently that you're good at something, you're going to start to believe it. And that positive mindset is going to carry you forward. So what might that look like? I shared a couple examples earlier, but let's just say you're going to sit down and cold call. No matter, maybe I'm telling myself, no one's going to hang up on me today. No one's going to hang up on, they're going to, the quote from Bold is, they're home, they're happy, and they want to speak with me. If you do that 5 times, I promise you, you'll start to believe it, and it will encourage you. Positive affirmations will help you with your mentality, as well as if you do come across something that just isn't good in your day, it's a negative, then I would encourage you to stop what you're doing, pause, take a deep breath, and smile, because you're still alive and you have so much to be grateful for. If you're a person of, for me, I pause and maybe I need to pray a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I just need to go through and count my blessings again. Maybe I need to reevaluate my calendar and look at what I have coming up that I have to look forward to. But don't be afraid throughout the day to pause. It's going to help your mindset, I promise. If you take just a little bit of time out for yourself. There's a reason when you work a 9-to-5 job that you get 15-minute breaks. I'm not encouraging you to work 8 hours straight nonstop. I'm strongly encouraging you to do the opposite. Take some time in little chunks for yourself. One of the things that I oddly like to do on days where I am able to sit at home and do lead generation, when I have a 15-minute break, I like to go do laundry. It takes my mind off of everything else and just allows me to focus on this. Maybe I'll throw some music on. But it helps my mindset, helps me be a sharper version of myself. Okay, you still got that paper out? Paper and pencil time. I'm going to say a word and you're going to rate yourself 1 out of 10, 1 through 10. I'm going to say a word. If you are doing this really, really well, I want you to rate yourself a 10. If you're doing this thing really, really poorly, rate yourself a 1. There's a idea behind this. How are you at sleep? If you're getting enough sleep, if you're getting, let's say 8 hours a day and that's good enough for you, then give yourself a 10, great. If you're getting 4 hours and you feel tired all the time, give yourself maybe a 1 or 2. And write the word down. Write the word down and then your rating next to it. So sleep and then enter your number. How do you feel about your physical health right now? 10 would mean, man, I feel great. I feel younger than I ever have. I'm working out all the time. I just feel great. A 1 would be, I haven't gotten out of bed in 3 weeks. And I need more bonbons. Speaking of bonbons, rate yourself 1 through 10 on your eating. How's your diet look right now? How's your reading life right now? Are you reading? How's your faith life right now? I'm not going to ask anyone to share your numbers, by the way, so answer these honestly. If I'm involved in church, going every week, maybe you're looking at a 10, you feel really good about your relationship with God or whatever you believe in. Or if you don't believe in anything, probably a 0 there. How are you feeling about the relationships you have, your relationship life? That can include friends, family, loved ones. How do you feel about the amount of adventure in your life currently? How are you, I'm going to use the word relax, but how are you at finding time for yourself to decompress? A 10 would be I set regular time frames for myself just to decompress, and I very rarely feel stressed. A 1 would be I'm always going, I never stop. How would I deem my intellectual life right now? Intellectual or learning? How about my family life? Maybe I never see my family, don't even talk to them. Maybe it's a 0 or a 1. Or maybe I just can't get away from the Rugrats. It's a 10. 2 more. Financially. How are you doing financially? Fun story. This is financial. That's the easiest one to impact, by the way. All you have to do is work harder, right? Or go find another job. And yet it's what we put the most stress on, a lot of us. Last one here. How would you feel about your fun life? Is there enough fun in your life right now? So I want you guys, if you're all done, does anyone need me to repeat any of those? Okay. Think about your life as a wheel. And these spokes, the things that we just said are spokes. So we're like 10 spokes, we'll call it. So your sleep spoke. If your sleep spoke is broken, your wheel is going to be lopsided. If your adventure spoke is broken, your wheel is going to be lopsided. If you're experiencing a lopsided, if you feel like you're not nailing it in one category, this provides visibility to where you feel you've deemed yourself not hitting your mark every day. It's really providing you with an open book test of where you might want to focus some of your efforts in order to live a better, more well-rounded, more balanced life, so that mentally we come full force every single day. So for instance, if I feel great about 7 or 8 of these things, but I feel like sleep isn't happening and my finances aren't where I need to be, then what's the next step? To dig deeper into that. Well, okay, my sleep schedule stinks. What am I going to do about it? That's the next question. I'm going to turn off the TV every night at 10 o'clock. I'll be in bed by 10:30 with no distractions, no book. And then I'm setting an alarm for 6 a.m. It's going to look different for all of us, right? But you've got to create a plan of action. These are the important things in life. And sleep leads to everything else being successful. So that's a big one, right? Financially, maybe I'm not happy with where I'm at. Well, you're making one good step by jumping on this call, because you're talking about real estate, and that's what hopefully your career is going to be. You're improving, you're sharpening your skill sets. That should help you mentally. Hopefully this helps. Does anybody have any ahas from this practice? You don't have to tell me your scores, but anything you learned from that little practice?
And I need a heck of a lot more sleep.
A lot more sleep.
Yeah, and that's, for some people, that's a really tough one to control, because maybe we've had bad habits over the course of our life that have led us to being under-rested. If we're under-rested, then that's a recipe for disaster and all these other things. Anyone else? Was anyone killing it at something? Don't have to answer what exactly it was, but do you feel like good about where you're at in certain things?
I've got a couple of things. I think just recently the financial and family,
That's awesome.
whereas everything else is lacking.
It's okay. This is your roadmap to success. Now you have it, literally a recipe card right in front of you. If you want to bake the best life possible, then let's focus on the ingredients. Oh, I like that. All right, guys. So mentality, the way we approach our day starts at first thing in the morning. How do you start your day? And then are we reflecting through the day on what we can improve? Or are we just going through the motions? The people who live the best, most well-rounded lives, I promise you, they take time and think about how they're thinking, and they focus on where they can improve. So lastly, before we jump into the very last thing I have to cover, is look at your schedules. If you are not currently using a schedule, you are missing the boat, and you have not been paying attention to my coaching. It's like the number one thing that will impact your lives is your schedule. Start putting everything in your schedule so that you know, and start with your faith first, your family second, so that those two most important things don't get interrupted. Nothing comes before those other things. Not work, not your $1 million buyer. That $1 million buyer, I promise, if you've done a good job of establishing a relationship, they'll still be your $1 million buyer, even if you have to attend your child's soccer game. And if they don't like the fact that you're attending your children's soccer game, then screw them. Go find another realtor, because I don't want to work with you either. Okay. Next week, we're going to do something that some of you may roll your eyes at. If you've been with me for a year, you've seen this before. This is a vision board. I did this last year, and a lot of this stuff has come to fruition. Next week, I'm inviting you all to my house next Thursday morning for breakfast. The reason I'm inviting you to my house is because, number one, I'd love to see you all in person. But number two, it's going to be a whole lot easier for you to share your vision board if we're in person. So I'm going to send a poll out to see what time works best for the most people. I would love it if we could make some time in our schedules, because this is going to be fun. I will also send an email out with rules for your vision board. A vision board is meant to cast a large vision at what you want your life to be like. You can do it several different ways. You can do one that's just for 2022, or you can do one that's maybe a 5-year plan. Or heck, maybe it's you're in 30 years. Here's what I want to, here's when I'm on my deathbed, this is what I want my life to have been about. It's free and open to your own interpretation. The way I did it, I used 5 different areas of my life and focused on 3 different things that I wanted to impact in each category. So spiritually, relational, financial, physical, and intellectual. And so, for example, I wanted to set at a certain weight for the whole year, meaning I wanted my health to take a focus. I wanted to be active 4 times a week, and I wanted to complete a marathon. I like, it's kind of like going back to grade school or college or high school when you did a little art and decoration time here, but go ahead and use pictures, use drawings, it's arts and crafts time. Amanda, I'm expecting a lot out of you. You're very artsy. If y'all don't follow Amanda on Instagram, follow her. She's an artist, truly. But guys, the purpose of this is to dream really big. There is no lid on how big you can go on this. And what's funny is that once you've written it down, most of these things will come true pretty quickly without you even putting much focus on it. As I revisit this board, I realize that just because I haven't like literally stared at it every day, doesn't mean that these things haven't happened. I've started investing in real estate. I've started looking at buying a lake house. I want a lake house. There's things that just happen because you put it out there. When you put it out there in the universe, good things happen to you. So guys, next Thursday morning, breakfast will be on me at my place. I'll send y'all the details. Want y'all to be here and bring your vision board. We're not going to do an in-depth presentation. We're just going to quickly touch base on maybe what you learned about your vision and maybe some tangible steps that you're going to take. This week that we're currently in is week 1 of 4. Next week will be vision board. So right now we're talking about mindset. Next week we're talking about dreaming really big. And I want to encourage you, dream big. There's no limit. The following week, we'll take your dreams, your vision board, and we'll put it on paper and see how we can get there. And then the last week, week 4, we will do a snapshot of what a good week might look like in order for you to deliver on your goals. So we're kind of working in reverse order. We're starting with the end in mind and working backwards to get us to where we want to be. Sound good? So make some time in your schedules next Thursday morning. I'll be sending a menu out for somewhere, and I'll get some good food for us all. And coffee, most importantly. Cool, guys? So dream big. Start thinking about what you're thinking about And I promise you, you'll feel more positive in your day to day. And your friends and family will notice it. One last thing, at Bold, they used to do this. I don't know if they'll do this again. They gave us a bracelet that said Bold on it. And they would tell us this: anytime you have a negative thought, take that bracelet and let it smack you. You could do this with a rubber band. What that does is it provides a tangible acknowledgement that you need to fix that. During the first time I took Bold, and there's still time to register, by the way. First time I took Bold, I realized that I went from being pretty negative to super positive in the span of like 2 weeks, because I literally would snap myself anytime I had a negative thought. We can defeat negative thoughts and be more positive people. And when you do that, your life takes a turn for the better. Hope this was good stuff for y'all. You guys have a roadmap in front of you now to being better humans. Go be better humans. Bye.